All right, I think we got one person. Can you hear me okay? Give it a few minutes and let everybody get plugged in. Hello, Jameson. How you doing? Can you hear me okay? Morning, Stephen. I'm good. I'm good. Hope everybody's doing fine. We got storms here, so hopefully we won't lose power or something like that. So, hello, Raul, Gert. Thanks, Loafer X. Appreciate it. Yeah, been selling a few knives. I'm very appreciative of that. I'm looking down. I've got it scrolling on my iPad so that I can catch all the comments and everything. Basically, it's kind of a Q&A. Give everybody a chance to ask questions and just talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Thanks, David. Appreciate it. Proud to be your favorite knife maker. And I'm doing fine. Doing fine. Hello, John. Yeah, these live vids are fun. I enjoyed the last one we did earlier this week, and so I thought maybe I'd do another one. I mean, everybody's kind of in quarantine for the most part, so kind of break the monotony up a little bit. And there's only so much TV you can watch and all that. So, hey, Spider. Hello, Carlos. Jameson, can you make me a neck knife? There's a bunch of neck knives on my production knife page you can order. But no, unfortunately, custom orders quit in 2018. Just don't have the time for them. Yeah, John, I use the Spirit, the Swiss Spirit, the one that's serrated blade. I like the tools on it better than any other multi-tool. I showed it in the last live video, but yeah, it's with me all the time on a little belt pouch. Thanks, Jesse. Thanks for joining us from the Philippines. How you guys doing over there? Well, Jeff should ship that Woodsman's buoy out to you there, OCD. I don't know if it's one of the ones he's waiting on or what, but I have no idea what his stock is. So, you have to get with him. Waiting on Mars, you can actually buy a Johnny Rancher from Woodsman, northernwoodsmanelite.com. If you guys are looking for some of the older models, then visit my approved dealers webpage. There's a bunch of dealers there that have WC knives. So if you visit their web pages, they probably have what you're looking for. I just shipped out 20 knives to Great Northern this morning. So I mean, I got probably another 30 in works from them, and they've ordered another 50. So the dealers have quite a few knives. If you just check them and see what they've got, even if they don't have it on their website, give them a call, because sometimes they have something in stock that just hadn't gotten on the website yet. So check them out. And that's if you go to my website, wcknives.com, go to the knives webpage and look under that one of those sub web pages under knives. You'll see authorized dealers, and just go through and ask them and see what they got. Yes, Carlos, there will be another EDC special run. I just don't know when. Waiting on Mars. Yeah, I'm really excited to work with the Nitro V. I haven't worked with it, but reading the technical data on it and the process, I don't think it's going to be that much different than what I've already been doing. So, yeah, kind of excited to start doing some tests on some of that, and especially the RC ratings, and kind of dial that in. So, yeah, a little bit of a challenge. I needed that, but anyway. Really interested to test some of that Nitro V out, because I mean, the reviews on it has just been unbelievable. So should be interesting. A WC machete would be awesome. Well, I've got several of them in prototypes. I just hadn't had a chance to try any of them out, Carlos. But I am working on some. It may take me a year or two. This Blackbird thing just, man, it exploded, so I'm trying to catch up on it. But yeah, working on some sort of small. I don't want to do a large machete. Something small that's, you know, just throw in a pack, or even wear it on the belt comfortably. Um, so looking at some of those designs. Large choppers, Steve. I'm not sure. We had talked in the past about the prepper, and what else did we talk about? Thanks, Spider. Glad you liked the Blackbird. Um, I don't know. There were some others that we had looked at, talked about, but I don't have anything being water jetted at this point for a special run of big choppers. Yeah, Stephen, it is better to be busy. Um, can't complain. Can't complain at all. You can order a Blackbird and Nitro V from my website right now. If you go to my production knives webpage, there's a lot of things on there you guys can order now. So um, don't have to wait on special runs. Dad's doing fine, Carlos. I mean, he's almost 90, but he's working on a garden in the backyard and runs his lines at least once a day if the weather's not too bad. So he doesn't want to do too many trips. Matter of fact, the last couple of times I've offered, he didn't want to go. But he's got COPD real bad, so he don't get around like he used to. And yeah, OCD, that Northern Woodsman Elite for a large chopper is definitely one to look at on their website. It's a chopper. It's a big one. It'll chop just about anything you want to chop. Now, Stephen, there's a lot of reviews on the Nitro V all over YouTube. I know you probably won't know what I think about it, but and some of the guys that do testing for me. Um, but that's going to be a long ways down the road. It's going to be after the fact. So, but I'm relying on a lot of knife makers that I trust, that I've talked to about it, and even the blade forums have a lot of great things to say about Nitro V. So It's got a very good reputation. There was one issue here a while back that they had with the heat treating process from the factory, and they've worked that out though. But other than that, I haven't found anything negative about it. So, hey Stan, hope you guys are holding it together down there. Mike, I don't know how long the Blackbird's going to be on the website. As long as people want it, it's going to be there. When they start getting stagnant, if I don't have sales over a time period, then I may rotate something else in there. But as long as people are wanting them, they stay on there. Well, Dennis, there's plenty to choose from on the 6 to 7 inch range. I mean, I don't have anything over 6. Most of it is around 5.5 to 6. So don't really have many large knives on the production side. But the thing about my large knives, or my 6 inch knives, they perform like a larger knife. So I mean, you can't really say that a 6 inch knife doesn't perform like a 7 because it depends on the design of it and how the handle is shaped and everything. So. Stan, are you talking about the Blackbirds or which one did you want to custom? Custom orders closed in 2018, as you know. So uh, the monthly specials is about as custom as you're going to get right now. Yeah, Robbie, the Nessie, man, if you don't have a Nessie, you got to get a Nessie. That it has to be my favorite companion knife, hands down. Yeah, Carlos, you did get a parang, didn't you? No, no major announcements. This is just a question and answer type thing. It's just a chat. No announcements. Yeah, Stan, I don't know that I'm gonna have any Blackbirds that's gonna have that color scheme on your handle. So you may have to have a substitute. Sorry, buddy. Yeah, the red scale, there just wasn't that much demand, and if I'm gonna have to buy a bunch of scales, I didn't want to be stuck with a bunch of red handles. I mean, those things are like 17 bucks a pop. So, um, that's the reason not many people wanted the red. So I kind of stuck with the colors that was um, in most demand, I guess you could say. And right now, that blue is just outselling everything. So everybody wants the blue. Yeah, Stan. I don't do many liner. I do a lot of wood on the special runs, the monthly runs, but not a whole lot of thick liners and stuff. So who knows? Maybe in the future. I don't know. I'm not gonna say never. I've learned a long time ago. Don't say never. See you, OCD. Have a good one. Thanks for stopping by. Be safe out there, brother. Yeah, Stephen, that black and orange sure touch is just that's the second most selling color is the black and the orange. That's a phenomenal handle too. I mean, it's shock absorbent. It's got a good grip to it. I mean, it's some good stuff. I haven't decided on what the next run is going to be. Like I said in the live one a few days ago, I'm thinking about doing like an assortment of maybe one or two different designs, perhaps the classic with a Scandi or something else with it. I haven't decided yet. I have been just buried with trying to get knives out. We shipped almost 60 last week. We shipped over 50 already this week, and I'm working on trying to get another 10 out this week. So, I mean, I have been just busy, busy, busy. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate your patience there, brother. My Nessie is made out of AEBL. I love AEBL. Out of all the steels I've used, AEBL is my favorite. Right now, Nitro V may change that, but right now AEBL is. The I don't know, Randy, when the next run for EDCs are. I have no idea. I don't plan this stuff. Basically, I need to see what kind of product I got because I'm having trouble getting AEBL. That's the reason I had to go to Nitro V for the Blackbirds. And I've got several orders in wholesale for the EDC. So I don't know if it may be a while before I can get enough blanks to do a special run for the EDC. Loafer X, that Sure Touch, if you ever use it, man, you're going to be, I mean, if you want just a good quality grippy handle that's shock absorbing, Sure Touch is the ticket. It's the best material I've found in a long time. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, I appreciate you attending the thing. I've been meaning to do this. It's just there's always something comes up, but you just have to take the time and make it happen. Thanks, Robbie. Yeah, '01. I'll put my '01 up against anybody's, and I have in test. If you look at my videos, I've tested my '01 against 3V and everything, and it holds its own. It really does. Uh, Stan, Sure Touch is basically G10 layered in rubber. The black part, if you look at the handle, is black. It's striped. The black portion that you see is actually layers of rubber. So you have thin layers of G10 mixed with thin layers of rubber, so it creates a very grippy and durable handle. And of course, I say it's shock absorbent because of the rubber. So it's a very impressive new product that came out in just a few months. They come out around the first of the year, but I've been very impressed with it. Yeah, Mike, I have lots of blanks for the Nessie. Um, I anticipated a lot of sales for it. It's just the EDC was not doing very well, so I didn't anticipate a lot of sales with it. I think I picked up 30 blades on the last run that I had for AEBL, and I think maybe 10 of those have already been sold as far as wholesale. So maybe 20 blades is not going to be enough for a special run. As you've seen, special runs, if 30 and 35 will sell out in 10, 12 minutes, then 20 is not going to do much. It's not even really fair to you guys to put up something like that. So, Daniel, I've used CPM M4 on pocket knives. I've used it with, I think Benchmade had an M4 and also a Spyderco. I have a Spyderco that has M4. Um, it's not bad. The problem with using other people's knives, I don't like their grinds. I'm spoiled with my grinds, so I have to change the grinds on them. And then you wonder if their heat treat process will be comparable to what I do when I go in and I tweak things around to make it more optimum. But from just testing it with the poor grinds, yeah, it held up pretty well. It really did. But then when you're talking about CPM steels, you're talking about bucks. So I was looking for a steel that that was more economical when I found the Nitro V. Excuse me. 80 CRV. I've used it, don't like it. I mean, it's not my favorite steel. I mean, it rusts. Might as well use O1. My O1 is as good, or if not better, than 80 Crovan. So, David, I'm not sure what you're talking about on the adjustable grip on handguns. I don't think I've ever seen that, but no, I've never considered making an adjustable grip. All of my handles are pretty comfortable to use. If it's not comfortable for me to use, it don't get made. What's up? Um, Nothing compares to AEBL on recovery. 3V. Um, I mean, I have videos of on my thoughts on 3V and all these other steels. If you want to go to the fact page, the frequently asked questions webpage or YouTube playlist. Um, I mean, 3V. About the only difference I have with 3V is on lab test. It tests to be tougher. I don't like how the edges are. I don't like anything about it hardly. But that's me. A lot of people love it. That's the reason I offer it, is because I was asked to offer it so many times. But me personally, I'd rather have AEBL. AEBL gets sharper. It holds an edge is comparably to 3V. It sharpens a whole lot easier than 3V. The only thing that I would say 3V has an advantage on AEBL is if you wanted to use it for a pry bar, which I don't recommend that anyway. So, um, according to lab test, it's tougher. That's the best I can tell you. Now, day to day use, are you going to see a difference? I don't know. That's up to you. I mean, it's the individual. If they want to spend the extra money for it, then by all means, I'll provide it. Joshua, the base production knives, they usually start around 230 just for the knife. If you go to my website, you'll see all that, buddy. Thoughts on blades compared it to Wright or Battle Horse? Um, I'm not going to talk negative about LT. I love LT. He's good. I mean, I've talked to him on the phone. He's a great guy. It's not my cup of tea. I've used his knives. I've owned lots of them. Um, I just I prefer a different handle. I prefer different grinds, and as far as the fit and finish on his knives, they're superb. It's just that I prefer different grinds and handles that he provides. 1095, Jeremy, is a good option for steel. It's a good steel. It's primarily used in forging and things like that, which I don't forge anymore. I use kilns, so it's not really the best steel for that. But if it's done properly, it's a good steel. It's a good steel. It's not the best, but it is a good steel. Still working on the shop. Supposed to have the electricity installed next week on the grind side. The other half of the building I'm kind of paused, but I'm trying to get the grind side done to where I can move the grinding equipment in there and get some help. Right now my grind room's so small I don't have room for anybody but me. So if I can get into the other grind room in a bigger room, then I can hire some help to come in and help me out. Well, you shouldn't have used it as a pry bar. It wouldn't tip, wouldn't have broke. I saw you when you did it. Depends on where it's at. Just bring the tip down. It's not that bad. It's just the very end of it. The Woodsman's Butcher, yeah. Yeah, that's a great design. I have enough blanks for that. I may do another run of that sometime before hunting season. Thanks, Keith. I'm glad you got the blackbird. Yeah, that bird's eye maple is stunning. It really is. I just ordered some more of that, matter of fact. Daniel, you can get the hog's tooth at northernwoodsmanelite.com. Like I said, if you guys want some of the older designs, he has a lot of them. So visit their website and they'll be able to fix you right up. Yeah, Moranio, I guess is how you say it. Sorry if I mispronounced it. Yeah, I was just saying that I have some blanks still from the last run that I may offer another run of that before hunting season. Well, Joshua, I don't know what else to tell you, buddy, but watch my videos. If you're not impressed and don't want to spend the money, then you know there is a difference. Believe me, you get your money's worth with my knives, and you don't find out on the budget knives. I tell you, when you use them yourself, you understand. Did you learn a lesson, Mike? Have you broke another one since then? Thanks, Daniel. We're gonna try, buddy. My pleasure. I'm happy that I could do this. I should do it more, but five of them, Keith, were sent to Jeff today, so he should have them in about 3 days. But I don't know if he's got any available. Because he called me this morning and said that people was just burning his phone up, wanting to know when he was going to get some blackbirds in. So if you don't get one from Jeff, the quickest route is to order one from my Production Knives webpage. David, that's more of the custom line. I just don't have time for that. Man, as you can tell, I'm trying to get out 50 and 60 knives a week, and so you can understand. I just don't have the time for it. Well, we did the fin and fur not too long ago as a monthly special. That's a fillet knife. So I don't know. We may do another one at some time. There's so many options out there, and everybody wants something different. Well, that's good, Mike. Glad you learned that lesson. But you use them long enough, you'll break another one. Thanks, Joshua. Well, if you look at my website, that's me using them, most of them. I was my own tester there for about 5 years, so I've tested just about everything. Jesse, there. Let me get the first Woodsman grind. I'll be right back. When I came out with the Blackbird a few months ago back at Frozen Foot, me and Blackie did a video. So if you go back and look at that, we talk about the history of it. I came out with this one in the spring of 2015. And if you go back and look at my playlist on the Woodsman's Grind, you'll see me doing the R&D on this knife. You'll see it has kind of a curved Scandi. The first time I married a saber into it, this was playing around in the shop, and I come up with this, and I said, "Oh, this is interesting." And I was looking for that dual-purpose, multi-use, versatile woods knife. And you'll see me using this knife on a camp and a few other things. And I said, "Wow, I've got something here." So I made several prototypes with different blade profiles, but the grind was pretty much the same. It was a Scandi going into the saber. And I sent it out to a lot of people. If I name names, you guys would know them. But some of them, they just did their review privately. And got a bunch of feedback say, okay, is this worth pursuing? Is this something as versatile as what I'm seeing? And to the person, every one of them came back and said, wow. And the actually Blackie's the Blackbird that is now is the second prototype that Blackie received. The first one Dan Lutz has. Dan Lutz talked Blackie out of that knife, and there's a whole story behind that. But if Blackie met Dan at Canterbury's deal, and then Blackie called me and said, "Hey, there's a guy that wants this knife. What do you want to do?" And I said, "That's fine." I said, "Because I've got another one coming to you." And that's the one that Blackie has now, the old brown one that we patterned the Blackbird after. So the Blackbird was patterned after a prototype that Blackie had tested. So I moved on to other things because me as a hunter, I like the butcher style tip. I like more of the drop point. So I came out with the Model 1 and the Model 2, which before I even went to the Model 1 and Model 2, it was more of a butcher style point, and everybody said, no, we want a spear point, so I came out with the Model 1. Then everybody kept saying, no, I want one like Blackie's. So I said, okay, and then we came out with the Blackbird, and so that's basically it in a nutshell. And then from from this knife, there's been many variations of dual grinds or multi grinds, like Scandi's going into full flats, Scandi's going into distal tapers. I've even done some Scandi's going into hollow grinds. So that's the basic gist of the history of the Woodsman's grind. And so I probably missed a bunch of people here. Thanks, Jeremy. I appreciate your support there, buddy, and kind words. Thomas, you got a good collection there, buddy. That's some very nice knives. I don't know, Robbie. I don't know where Dan is. I haven't talked to Dan in a while. I saw him on his live deal the other day. That's pretty nice. He said he's going to have another one, so maybe he's getting set up for that. Mike, if you're talking about how much this one is, you probably have to put up your firstborn. Maybe your secondborn. Now, that one's not going to be for sale. So how did that Blackbird work for you, Fearless? No, not planning on doing a hatchet. That's forging. I don't do forging. Yeah, I miss you too, Stan. We're going to have to get a gathering at some time when all this mess is over. You about to get that third or fourth degree? I think you ought to be a doctor by now, aren't you? Keith, that's a good start, buddy. 10. I have some people's got 30 and 40. And they buy one every time I come out with one. But I appreciate it, man. I really do. Thank you so much. Joshua, not sure your comment there, buddy. Thanks, Charles. Welcome. Check out my homepage. There's all kinds of playlists and everything, and I'm sure there's something that would interest you. Glad you liked it, Fearless. It works. Knives at work. It works. You should, Mike. You should make a hatchet. Keith. I don't want to even talk about this COVID-19. Let's talk about good stuff. Always working on new designs. Charles, there's a little bit. Probably about 400 videos on knives. Everything I do is about knives. With a little camping and hunting thrown in, but it's mostly about knives. Terrence, I made several Ulus. Matter of fact, Blackie's got one. There's been a few others spread around. I think there's one or two in California. Yeah, I went through that phase, made a bunch of them. Yeah, very useful too. Yeah, Spider, I strive to have all of my knives, working knives, to be balanced. If they're not balanced, then they're going to tire your arm out. So the only thing that's not balanced is the large choppers, of course, because you want the weight forward. But for the field knives or belt knives, even the SK is balanced. And the reason for that is because if you have something that's blade heavy or handle heavy, then your forearm will tire quickly. And so balanced is always best. Balanced on everything. Sis, I don't know. You'd have to talk to Jared to see that. I've shipped out a bunch of knives to him. Now, whether your knife was in that mix, I don't know. You'd have to talk to Jared. Robbie, these are the only hats I can get, buddy, and there's no way to ship them. So if you can meet me at a gathering or something, I usually have a few in the truck. Raul, talk to Great Northern Knives. I think he has some skinners left, if you want a skinner. It's probably my internet. I mean, like I said, we're having storms here, so the internet may be lagging a little bit. Well, Joshua, if that works for you, buddy, keep working it. That's all I can tell you. But if you ever get the opportunity to use one of my knives, you should use it because there is a difference. I'm pretty sure, Charles. Yeah, I'm real. Yeah. You guys hear that thunder? It's storming here. You're welcome, Eric. I appreciate all your support, and man, you guys are just awesome. You really are. I can't say it enough. Well, good, Mike. It's about time. You broke that tip, what, 7 years ago? I guess it was planning. He was planning the whole time on how to do that, I guess. Yeah, Jeff's a great guy. So, hey, Ron. Yeah, you have a few. That's all right. They'll be around when you get ready there, brother. Finish that man cave. Charles. Well, my knives are legendary on how sharp they are. So that's just kind of a bad question there. Not in good taste, buddy. I've got a few original tunes out there. Good night, Joshua. I said my knives, not everybody's. Mine's are different. I use different angles and different grinds. Good night, Carlos. Take care, buddy. Glad you like the trail partner, Walter. I mean that's an old design, but yeah, it still works. It's very versatile. Well, that's good, Mike. Everybody starts somewhere, man. I mean, you ought to seen my first ones. Hey, just keep improving. Keep hammering on it. Um, yeah, Blade Collector. I've made all those designs. There's plenty of those blade shapes out there. That's just not my thing. Actually, the Woods Journeys is a good example. When I put something on the website that's just a standard straight edge, it's a saber or anything like that that's pretty common grinds, nobody seems to want those. They expect something different from WC. So I kind of stay with the multi grinds as much as possible. That's my forte. That's my niche, and so I pretty much stay with those. Chisholm, I think I put one of my songs on the beeswax haversack video. I think that's where it's at. So if you want to go look at that one, there's an original song on there. Joshua, you just trying to do an argument, man. I'm not into arguments today. Like I said, until you use one of my knives, there's really nothing else I can tell you. Thomas, Randy, Randy does awesome work. I can't say enough about Randy. Just a great guy, highest of quality you can get in leather. Just a good friend, and he was one of he was a business associate before he was a friend. Now he's a friend, and so it's just all good. So I recommend Randy any day of the week. Like I mentioned before, he's doing a sheath for a movie or for a knife of mine that's supposed to be in a movie if they ever make it. I don't know if they are or not, but it was scheduled for next month to go into production. I'm not sure what it's at now. That's all right, Joshua. I mean, like I said, unless you use one of my knives, there's really nothing to compare it to. Yeah, the cutting edge on all of my knives are 11 to 12 degrees. With that, everybody knows it has to have an exceptional heat treat. That's the reason I do everything in-house. KH, let's see. Have you seen the parang, that the belt, the pack parang? You guys seen this one? Has a Scandi, curved Scandi going into a saber. Very thin. Blade on it is probably about 8 inches or so, 7-8 inches. That's one of them that if I ever get time, I'm going to test that out and see what I think about it. I think it may be a good camp knife is what I'm looking at. Camp knife / parang. Thanks, Robbie. No, David, I don't care too much for serrations. They're good for cutting rope and things like that, but for my use, I just don't have any use for it. Maybe boxes and stuff like that, but I just don't have any use for serration. I make knives for me, folks. If it makes me happy and it does what I want it to do, then I'll put it out there and let you guys look at it and see if you want to buy it. But I'll make knives for me. If it works for me, then I'll make it. But if it don't, then I don't make it. Yeah, Jesse. Well, Blackie, he's a great guy. A very good friend. They're still hanging on the wall. I just got to get time. I lost one of my help. I had a guy doing the handles for me, and he's in quarantine right now. Well, the county that he's in, and so I'm having to do it all right now, and so I just don't have the time. I'm just treading water, folks. Just treading water until I get that new shop built to where I can hire somebody to come into the shop and work. Because the ground room I have now is so small, even I bump my own shoulders with myself. So it's just too small for me to have people in there. Would be very unproductive. So once we get electric in, maybe hopefully next week, then after that I'm building benches and stuff in the shop, moving grinding equipment over there. Then hopefully I can get somebody in, get them trained, and kind of help me with some of this workload a little bit. Yeah, Robbie, you need to go way back, buddy. Um, this was a beeswax coating on a haversack that I did probably about 7, 8 years ago. Yeah, Thomas, the Easy Lap sharpener is a good. I still the Victorinox the mini steel, the Victorinox mini steel. If you look at under the fact that frequently asked questions YouTube playlist, you'll see a sharpening video that I did recently, and that mini sharpening steel is the best thing I've found for it. I mean, it's not sharpening, it's honing. Um, I believe that once you sharpen a knife, you should never have to sharpen it again unless you damage the edge. Other than that, you're honing the knife from then on. No trolls, I don't do that. Again, I don't believe in beating on knives or abusing knives, so I don't need a differential heat treat. No, Mike, I don't, buddy. Just have to get on groups and forums and find out from that away, or watch YouTube videos, I guess, to see who's going to what. No, Gert. As long as I am able to grind a blade and do this, it will be me. Once I'm gone, then probably WC knives will be gone. I have no children to leave it to, and my family is not interested. So once I'm gone, it'll probably be gone. Unless I do like Bob Lovelace and he left it to one of his employees. So until he passed away. But as far as the WC, the William Collins aspect of it, designs and things like that, um, right now there's nobody interested in it. So. Not a musician, lyricist. I kick myself constantly because I didn't stick with the guitar, but no, I did the lyrics on that song. I did lyrics on a lot of songs, a lot of songs. Heirloom cedar, I have done a lot of knives in CPM 154. It's good steel, very good steel. The thing about it is cost. I mean, if um, some people like the CPM 3V, I mean that's cost too, but you know, not so much the 154. The AE bill, I'm serious. The AE bill will tag right along with it, and it's a lot cheaper. Charles, I wish I could tell you how I come up with my designs. It's just one of those things that I mean, it's a gift, I guess. After 40 years of using knives, it's just what works here and what works there. I never understood why knives this part was the same as this part, or this tip, or the grind was the same, because you never use knives the same. This area is used differently than the tips are. So why do you have the same grind for everything? So that's the reason I started exploring with the multi-grind. And I wasn't the first one to do this. The first person that I know to do this was Bob Lovelace in the 70s. Mora has done it somewhat. Back about the time I released the Master Woodsman, the original, the first one. At that time, the only thing that Mora had was the 2000. They didn't have the cancelable out at that point. And then I think a month or two later, after I came out with the Master Woodsman, they had the Elderless come out, the little small one that had a multi-grind or compound grind. But that's the reason I started experimenting and playing around with the multi-grind, is because of me. I mean, like I said, I make knives for me. And then I put it out on the market, and if you guys like it, then that's just fantastic. But they're made for me, what works for me. I hope so, Gert. I mean, we're steadily trying to improve on a daily basis. So, yeah, I hope they do improve, and with anything. I mean, the more you do it, the better you get at it. So, because Berkeley, you're getting into custom made, and when you got 20 or 30 blades on the bench, you can't figure out which one gets a red liner, which one gets a blue liner, which one gets a gray liner. That goes into custom work. I just don't have time for that. I got to have 50 on the bench, and I got 5 of them that gets this handle, 5 of them gets that handle, and 5 of them gets that handle. And that's the only way I can do this, buddy. CPM 154 is a lot harder to recover than AEBL. AEBL will recover as quick as carbon steel. It's got its K2 properties in it. CPM 154, you probably, if you just use a steel, a sharpening steel, it's going to take you a little bit if you let it get really dull. But AEBL, I've used it all, folks. AEBL is a rare breed. It really is. You're welcome, David. That I keep one on me all the time. I mean, well, not right now because I'm, but when I'm in the shop or out doing something, I have one of those little SAK honing steels on me. Thanks, John. I appreciate it. Willing to teach what, Rebel? Stuff that I learned through blood, sweat, and tears? Probably not. That's how I make my living. If I taught everybody else how to do it, then that wouldn't be a very smart business approach. I'll give you tips, hints, but I'm not going to teach you how to do it. That'd take all the fun out of it. Keith, it depends on where you store your knife, how often you use it, how much you clean it. If the wood starts drying out, put oil on it. That's the best I can tell you. It depends on climate, a lot of things. A lot of things. When in doubt, oil it. Yeah, Joe, I've already on the website. I've got Nitro V offered as far as the next Blackbird production knives. So the Nitro V will be replacing the AEBL for the foreseeable future on the Blackbird. Now, all the other production knives that I've had on the production webpage for a while, I have enough blanks for those. I'll be set for those for a long time. But it's the Blackbirds we went through so many. We sold in the last this week in February, we sold almost 100 Blackbirds. I didn't have that many blanks, so I had to use an alternate steel for that, because as I guess you guys have heard, AEBL comes from Germany, and they're out of 5/32 in big plates. I have to have big plates to get them water jetted, and so they're saying maybe the fourth quarter before they get any. So I had to use an alternative steel, and Nitro V is it. After doing research and talking to knife shops, Nitro V is it. I haven't either, KM. I always thought that '01 was the bomb, and I still like '01. But after using my AEBL, I haven't used anybody else's, so I can't say, but after using my AEBL, hands down, it is my favorite. And I've used all the CPM steels and all this other stuff, the Crucible, the premium powder steels and all that. AEBL works for me better than any of them. I'm interested to try this Nitro V because I've been hearing a lot of good things about that. Well, Gert, it's kind of a little bit of both. The hidden lanyard came from Survive Knives. They're the only ones I've seen do that, and I'm surprised that nobody else does that. Lanyards has always got in my way. So, there for a long time, I would make knives without lanyards because I hated them. But the ones I always liked that lanyard there, especially when you're pulling the knife out of like a cross draw or a horizontal sheath. You need something extra there to grab onto. And then I started using that in a chopping motion and putting a little finger through there. It's just experience and trial and error and using things that I come up with things that, and so that's how that came about. I never agreed with tying a knife to your wrist, because if it got away from you, guess where it's coming? It's coming right back at you. So if you put that little thing around your finger, if you lose control of it, it's going to fly off somewhere and hit somebody else if you're not careful. But at least it's not going to hit you. All right, it'd be a little selfish. But that works great because it's not tied to you. I don't like anything tied to me. Hope that answered your question. But the hidden lanyard part, I didn't come up with that. That was a Survive Knives type thing. Welcome, Jason. I appreciate you joining us, brother. I really do. Yeah, Spider. They claim it's AEBL on steroids, but you know they can claim all kinds of stuff. But it is a variant of AEBL. It really is. It was came from the AEBL family. Let's put it that way. Yes, Joe. You can order a SK and AEBL and be safe. I've got probably 100 blanks right now. Yeah, Fearless. That's where it came from. Is I needed something there to pull it from the sheath because I like my sheaths to be tight. I don't want my knife falling out. So that lanyard there with the knot on the end of it, the short lanyard, it works great for that. And then I saw the loop there, and I needed some extra grip there, and I put my little pinky in there, and it worked great. I said, "Ooh, well, we got something else here." So trial and error, I learned a lot of things by just going out there and using knives, and trying this and trying that, see what works, what doesn't work. John, no plans whatsoever bringing the custom knives page back, ever, ever. I've got customs I'm still trying to finish from 2018. It's just so time consuming. I just don't have the time. Unless I get a production factory and everybody else does the production knives and I can play around with customs, then maybe. But as of right now, the way things are set up, never, ever, ever again will I do custom work. That's the reason I do the monthly specials, is to kind of compensate for that custom. Because all of those monthly specials are custom made knives. They have the pretty handles and all this other stuff, the great pins and stuff like that. Heirloom cedar, yeah, whenever I can, I plan on getting it. But like I say, right now on my just the retail side, I have 160 knives that I have to get out in 90 days to 120. On the wholesale side, I got another 100. So just be by myself. Not much time for play. Well, Spider, we're gonna start with a baseline and do some testing a little bit and see where we're at. But I mean, as long as we hit it in the range of what's recommended, then we'll probably leave Nitro V where it's at because it has been tested thoroughly. When I did AEBL, the problem was AEBL was not performing the way it should have performed with the heat treating methods that I had at that time, and so I had to play with it and tweaked it and brought the AEBL to a better deal. Since then, they've come out with some different heat treats that work that's very close to what I came up with. And a very good one is Alpha Steel Supply. They have a very good heat treat for AEBL if you guys want to try that on your own. Try their heat treat is good. So, but anyway, I think Nitro V has already been tweaked pretty much. Now I have to take into account temperatures and things like that, but I mean that's with any steel. Thanks, Keith. Thanks for stopping by. You too, buddy. Yeah, Gert. If I opened up the customs again, I mean, I would be inundated with customs, and I love the challenge of it, but it's just not it doesn't pay the bills because by the time I do one custom, I could have 10 production knives done, and I just can't live on customs. Um, it doesn't pay the bills. Yep, Mike, you missed that one. I showed it a little bit earlier. did it on a video here a while back. But yeah, a little belt parang or pack machete or whatever you want to call it. Uh, Robbie, I thought about doing a belt knife special, but I don't know. I just got too many options out there, man. I just don't know where to go. I also got to see how many blanks I've got. Yeah, Terry, I wish I could speed it up. Every time I think I'm going to get a little bit ahead of that 90 to 120, COVID-19. I mean, we were producing and still are. Like I said, we the last 2 or 3 weeks we put out 50 to 60 knives a week, and I'm still 90 to 120 days. I mean, just this week alone, I had 50 knives shipped out, and I sold about 50. So it's just, well, at least we're keeping pace. Yeah, Spider, I understand that. I've for 14 years I was senior management in large construction companies, multi-million dollar construction projects, and I was vice president of operations. So trust me, I know about burnout, and I, right now I love what I do, and so I'm watching it pretty close. I am. So I appreciate the concern there, brother. Terrence, there's a few left on the woods journeys. If you want to start your WC journey there, that's instant gratification. I hope so, Mike. This flu thing is just it's crazy. I don't want to talk about that, but I'm really confused about it myself. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it, buddy. I'm glad you got your knife and like it. I mean, the comments I've gotten from the first runs and the ones that's arrived today is just it's just been very humbling. It really has been. You guys are awesome. Yeah, David, I talked about it earlier in the video. I'm the new shop that I'm building. I've got it all dried in. I got an electrician to be here next week to put electric in the grind room. The grind room I'm using now is like an 8 by 10, so it's only room for me and equipment. Once I get the new grind room up and running, then I will be looking for some help to come in and help me. That way, I've got room to have people help me. Right now, there's just not enough room. I've got leather shop and blades and knives all in the same building in about a 10 by 10 area. It's a little cramped, little cramped. Thanks, Kurt. I'm trying not to. I've cut myself a lot. If you go back through my videos, you'll see bandages and I've, I'm not a stranger to cuts, I tell you. Or the main thing is running my hands into grinders. I trimmed these nails many times with that grinder into the quick. Jeremy, I don't do blanks for people because it has my logo on it, and when it goes out, I want to make sure everything is going to meet my standards. So I don't do blanks because I don't know what kind of handle material they're going to put on it and shapes and all this other stuff. A knife from WC Knives is thought out from the tip to the pommel. That includes handle design, everything. If the handle doesn't work, the knife is not going to be used. If it's not comfortable, it's not going to be used. If it cramps, if it's too small, it's not going to be used. So my knife designs is from tip to pommel, and if I was to send out blanks, then that's not a WC knife. I hope so too, Spider. You take care, brother. Well, John, I thought about it, but that's just a lot more work. Um, I don't know that I have time to take care of a Patreon page. I don't even have time to do many videos. So, um, I mean, if you want to send me a check, I'll give you my address. But I'd rather give you a knife for that check. Let's put it that way. You can get decals from my Teespring store. If you look in the description below, there's a Teespring store that you can get t-shirts and decals and coffee cups and all kinds of stuff. No caps. I haven't figured out how to do caps yet. These caps here, I've got a box of them in the shop, but that I hand out a lot to suppliers and stuff. And if you see me at a gathering somewhere, I usually have some caps with me. But you can get T-shirts and decals and things like that, and coffee mugs at the Teespring store. Very little, Terrence. I may have a beer every now and then, but I don't. Um, I I don't drink enough to even say I have a preference. I may have a beer with my brother or something like that, but it's not really much. I don't even remember the last beer I had, to be honest with you. You got some coffee? No, Mike, it doesn't. I'm usually in the bed by 9 o'clock, and I'm up at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning in the shop. I usually start early, early, early. I get my best work done before noon. Then in the afternoon, I'll do handles and things like that. That's not as tedious. But in the mornings, I do my grinds because that's what you got to have your faculties together when you do some of my grinds. So I'll do those early in the morning and when there's no distractions or anything, and in the afternoon I'll do the other stuff. No heirloom cedar. I don't. I've been intending to do this live thing for a long time. It's just I was just decided to do it today, and so I try to give as much notice that I can when I'm doing a live one, so that everybody can get all their questions together. What is the easiest knife that you can make for yourself, John? Are you trying to make it yourself, or probably the easiest thing to do is take a file? That's how I started. I started with a fire in the backyard, a red oak. I had a pile of red oak, a fire pit, and a hair dryer, and a $30 Harbor Freight belt sander. A little 1x30 belt sander, and that's how I started WC Knives. Uh, Quick story. I don't know if you guys heard the story or not, but I had actually gotten out of the construction industry because I was burnt out. 14 years and working 60, 80 hours a week, and I was just completely exhausted mentally, physically, spiritually, everything else. So I had actually semi-retired, and I wanted a knife. I'm not going to say who. And I called him up and told him that I wanted one of his knives. He said, "Yeah, the wait's 3 years." And I said, "Well, I ain't waiting 3 years for a knife. I'll make it myself." he chuckled and said, "Okay, good luck." So I got in the backyard and I started playing around. I watched a few videos on YouTube and learned how to semi heat treat, and got me a file that I had in the shed, and I started making me a knife. It took me about 10 tries, but I got it to where it hold a pretty decent edge. I learned how to anneal, how to shape, how to grind, and the rest is history. The first one that I had, a friend of mine saw it and said, "Hey man, you ought to sell that." And I said, "Sell it how?" He said, "eBay." I'd never even heard of eBay. So I put it on eBay and they would sell as soon as I put it on there. Bobby, I don't know if Bobby's on here or not. I hadn't seen him. Bobby Moody, the Bobby Moody, bought some on eBay, and he did some videos way back in the day, 8 years ago, and it just took off. It really did. And so, I mean, it got to the point to where I didn't even have any stock left to put on eBay, and so I just started selling and created a website and started selling all over the world. I sell knives everywhere. I sell Sweden, the UK. I sold them in Japan, Germany, all over the United States, Australia. Stephen was on here. He's bought a couple. They sold a bunch in Australia, New Zealand. I just sell them all over the world. And it started with a fire, just a pit in the backyard with a hair dryer and a $30 Harbor Freight belt sander. That's how it started 8 years ago. Mike, the difference between the Saner Scout and the Alaskan Scout is the blade profile. The Alaskan Scout is pretty much straight, while the Saner Scout has a little bit of a drop for a sweet point, spot. But the actual size and thickness and everything is about the same. Yeah, Steve, yeah, somebody else asked about that. They're still hanging on the wall. I just hadn't had time to mess with them. But hopefully one day I'll get to them and get those out. Yes, Chris, I do freehand. I have a jig on some grinds, but it's still freehand because you have to approach the blade, the belt right, and all this other stuff. But yeah, all the blends and everything else is all freehand. Some of the sabers I do is freehand too. Yeah, Fearless. I mean, I have never attended a course or a class or anything on knife making. It's all been trial and error. Just get in the shop, and I've never been one to sit back and think about things too much. Um, to me, once I decide I'm going to do something, dive off into the pool. Hope it's deep enough, and I mean, I think that we sit and think about things too much. If you get in there and you start, you're going to learn how to do it eventually on your own, and that's probably the best experience you can get. It's nice to learn from people, getting tips here and there, but trying to go to a school to learn all this stuff before you start anything I think it's a bad approach. I recommend getting out there and just trying it. Just learn it as you go, and I think it works great. It worked for me. Marky, that is a very good suggestion, and there's another model coming. I'm not ready to talk about it yet, but it's going to have a stamp like that as well. It's going to be a different stamp. I've already got the stamp. I've already got the design. It's just time. Just time. If I had the time, I would be coming out with some pretty cool stuff. But um, I got to get a place to where I can get people in here and take care of some of the stuff I've already come up with and the demand. But yeah, if I had the opportunity to actually create and come out and develop other designs, then there's a lot of stuff up here in this old brain. But yeah, I've got one that's going to be coming out here in a few months that's going to have a separate stamp on it. And I started kind of leaning toward that with the SK because it has the WCSK stamped on the blade, and it got me to thinking. And so yeah, I may start doing that a lot more. Yeah, David, check out the EDC or the Nessie. The Nessie, phenomenal, phenomenal wood carver. I actually have some videos of me carving figurines. I'll show you the figurine. I carved this with a Nessie. There's a video on it. I can't recommend the Nessie enough. It ticks all the boxes for me as far as a companion knife. Yeah, Mike at Alaskan Scout, man, it's a great knife. It is a great knife. Typing in Q. I'm not Q, trust me. I am not Q. Thanks, Fearless. Favorite sheath for the Nessie. I'll show you what I use. This is my setup, and you see how beat up it is. It just clips to my belt loop, or I can wear it as a horizontal carry across draw or in the front. And it's just, remember me talking about that tab there? That's so I can grab that knife and pull it out of the sheath. And that's my Nessie that I use. AEBL, this is the multi-grind. Very fine tip. It just ticks all the boxes. I try out knives for a week or two, but I always go back to the Nessie for the past 2 years. It's just my favorite knife. I love how it has all these curves, and the handle is big enough it doesn't cramp your hands, and you have this part here that you can choke up on. I'm up here on the tip, and see how your hand locks in that part right there? It's a secure grip. A safe knife is a one that you control. And without a proper grip, you don't control that knife. If the handle's too small or it doesn't have enough contours in it, you can't control it. But a control knife is a safe knife because you're not going to intentionally cut yourself. So as long as you control it, you'll be fine, or better off. We try to keep the cuts Band-Aid size. Keep the stitches and the doctors away. If you can do that, then you're doing good. But that right there, that's what serves that purpose, is you have more control, more better grip up here on the blade, so you can get that tip, get that fine carving and cutting and things like that. But yeah, Nessie, hands down for a companion knife. I like the EDC, but the Nessie does it for me. Thanks, John. No, David, everything that I have is you have to order it. It's 90 to 120 days. Now, if you check around to something, I don't even know that any of my dealers have any Nessies. I don't think they do. But you can check around and ask. Yeah, John, it is. It's like I said, I mean, it's small, it's light. You put it on your belt, it's the same width as your belt. I just, I can't say enough about it. It's just it works for me. Like I said, once I figured out that handle a year or so ago, I knew the blade was right. It's just that handle. It took me a little while to get that handle right. Matter of fact, I met Mike Travis we was up in Pennsylvania. I don't know if you guys know him or not. Blue Mountain Bushcraft, I think is what it is. Mike Travis does a lot of articles, and he's the one that wrote some articles on the SK and got them in several magazines and stuff. But anyway, I met him up in Pennsylvania at the Great Northern Outdoors, and he was looking at that handle on that Nessie, and he said, "Man," he said, "this handle just ain't right." I said, "Yeah, I know." I said, "I just can't get the handle right." And so I started playing around with that handle, and once I got it to this shape, yep, that was the ticket. Yep, does slice apples very well, Fearless. Onions and tomatoes and everything else too. Blade on it, I think, cutting edge is a little over, well, my hand's 4, so what, 3.5 cutting edge to the handle, about 4. It's all on the specs for on the website. Thanks, Gert. Yeah, I can't say enough about the Nessie. Any other comments, questions? I think your imagination is a little carried away. It's a true scout. I've already watched the video. It's a good video. All of Blackie's videos are good, but it ain't about no knife. The difference with a Nessie handle is it has. See how thick it is? Now this is a basic handle on the other knives. See, it has contours like this, okay? But the Nessie handle, it was too small to do that. So if you had contours, you'd have a long handle. I wanted a shorter handle that actually filled the hand up. So basically your contours is on this side, and this side you have a narrow part here because your little pinky is smaller than the rest of your fingers. Shorter, it's called a pinky, right? Okay. So you have a little indentation here for your pinky to hold on to, so you got good purchase there. And then it has a lot of handle thickness here, so you can fill your hand up. Again, if the handle's too small, you're always squeezing it, trying to fill that handle, and then you start getting hand cramps. It's uncomfortable, and you're not going to use it. So you need a handle that's big enough to fill your hand up that you have complete control of. And that's what this one does. I mean, it just rolls in your fingers. You have complete control of that knife in every position that you need. And then you have the Nesbitt tip for skinning game. As my buddy Dan says, it lifts and separates that skin. It's just, if a knife is not versatile, I'm not interested in it. When I go for a knife design, I want something that's versatile, something that's going to tick the boxes of a lot of things. And so basically you have the Scandi here for the splitting apart of kindling. Small stuff, very small stuff. Stuff that you can hit it with your hand, not have to baton it, but hit it with your hand to split. Kindling. And do your camp carving like fireboards and your pot hangers and things like that, because the Scandi is great for that. But then when you start getting into here, you start getting into a thinner blade, because thin blades slice better. If you ever tried to slice an apple with a Scandi, a thick Scandi, it just doesn't slice very well. It'll do it, but it don't slice very well. So then you starting to get into thinner blades for your slicing ability, and then the finer tips for a lot of your carving and things like that. So basically you got your wood processing, your kitchen prep, your game prep, or the little belly right here, Then your fine tip for your fine carving and fine crafts and things like that. Then you have the Nesmith hump here, semi-hump, a Nesmith. I mean, it resembles a Nesmith. That's why it's called Nessie. For your skinning and game prep chores. Okay, so you have a very versatile knife and just a small compact knife. You have a little knife that does big chores. Okay, hope that explained the Nessie. That basically is my thought process when I design a knife. I want that knife to do. I have in my mind a person, a woodsman, and what is that woodsman going to do? He's going to go camp. He's going to hunt. He's going to prepare stuff on a campfire. He's going to cook. I want a knife to tick all of those boxes and do it well. So that's what I have in my mind when I'm designing a knife. The difference in the shapes are the same. It's the sizes of it that's different. Well, I've got an SK here. All right, I didn't know I was going to have a table of knives. All right, so here's the SK. See how thick the SK handle is, or wide? See how narrow the Blackbird is? Okay, then you turn them on the side. The shape is pretty much the same. This shape is for the larger belt knives is the way to go. I mean, because I like that bubble right here because you can choke up on it. You still have a secure grip. It's like a guard without being in your way. Okay, so you have something that you can stab and thrust, can do everything you need, like in combat, WCSK, woods, combat, kitchen, whole 9 yards, and you have a very secure grip for the SK. Same thing for the Master Woodsman series. You have something that you can choke up on because the balance is right there at the tip. Okay, it's right there. So if you hold the knife there, it's a balanced knife. It doesn't fatigue your arm. It doesn't wear you out. You don't feel the blade or the handle. Okay, so that's the reason I have the handles the way I do. Same thing with the SK. The balance is right there. Okay, right there. All right, so if you grab it right there, even though it's a large knife, you don't feel the weight. It works like a small belt knife with big chores. Okay, so that's part of my design is a well-balanced knife. Yes, it is. It's ambidextrous. Feels the same in this hand as it does the other one because you got a dention here on both sides. Your pinky's the same place. See? That or the right. I don't know if I am or not. There is Jeff at Great Northern Knives. He's doing some wholesale ones. So if you want one of the narrows, then he probably has one. Yeah, David. Yeah, I should have known better. Yeah, I should have had a table full of knives ready. Yeah, Gert, that was part of the design. If you go back and look at all the R&D videos on that knife, you'll see that there was a lot of thought put into that knife. It took probably about 2 or 3 months with me designing and developing and then Dan and Blackie doing their testing and saying what works and what doesn't work, and me going back to the drawing board and communications back and forth about 2 or 3 months. But yeah, there was a lot of thought went into that design. And every curve, every part of that blade has been designed and developed for a function. Well, Andy, like I said, Nessie is my favorite companion knife. Now, if I'm going to the field, I may be using a lot of different knives, but I always have a SK with me. Everywhere I go, it's either in a truck or in my pack. I may have other blades that I'm testing, but the SK and the Nessie is definitely the top on my list. Yeah, Robbie, I agree. If I had to have just one knife, it would be the SK because I can do everything with the SK that I can do with the smaller knives. I've shown it in the R&D. I've carved net needles with it, figurines. It does more than you would ever expect out of a larger knife. Yes, Gert, it does. That tooth, yeah, that tooth, it does. It'll bite some wood. It'll chew wood like an angry beaver. Um, yeah, I've carved a little bit with the EDC, and like I say, it would be a close second to the Nessie. But that Nessie, I just like the way that knife works. It performs. I don't know. It's just I just like that design. Yeah, Robbie, it's one of those knives. You know, I would be in shows. Did a lot of shows last year, a blade show and everything else, and I would have blocks of wood on the table, and I'd demonstrate the SK, and you could see people's when they first seen it, is yeah, right, you know, another gimmick. Then I would demonstrate the knife to them, and you could see the light go off, and every aspect of that knife, you'd have to look at the videos, but every aspect of that knife is designed for a purpose, and it performs exceptionally well at those purposes. Um, Woodsman's Bolo, it kind of got put on the back burner. We broke it during R&D, so we're going to put that on the back burner and try something else. The design's just not working, so we got to do something else. Andy is really not much to see. Just a bunch of machines and dust and grit and dirt. And um, I don't think Blade Show 2020 is going to happen, folks. I do have a table there, but I think that they're going to cancel. Even now, I mean, everybody trying to scramble to get enough product there for Blade, even at this point, is going to be very difficult to do. So it's kind of up in there. If it does happen, there will be some stuff there. I may not attend, but Randy, who's got a table next to me, he'll probably take my space and put some blades out, so it'll be represented. But I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. But I do have a table if it does. Greg, some people prefer the Master Woodsman. It's just a personal preference, I think. I like the SK. Now, the Master Woodsman was the knife until the SK for me. But, you know, if I'm going to go out in the field, if I'm going to go somewhere, I'm going to have an SK with me. It just works for me. It really does. Could I get by with a master woodsman? Absolutely. Every day of the week, 7 days a week, 6 times on Sunday. But the SK, I just like the feel of it. I like the weight of it. I like the design of it. It has all the attributes that I want in a knife. It has sweet spots. It has splitting power. It has the kitchen design right there for the shelf knife. It has the reinforced tip. I mean, it has everything that I need in a knife and a field knife. And so, for me, the SK is a preferred knife. Yeah, Robert, I already talked about that. Do both. I have a jig, but you have to freehand the jig, and then a lot of my grinds are freehand, total freehand. I learned how to grind knives freehand, so I do both. Yeah, I use 2x72 belt sanders. I have Burr Kings. I've got Fears. I got 3 or 4 Fears. So yeah, I have 2x72 belt grinders. For a deer, I do the Nessie, Chris. That to me, that's a perfect deer skinning knife. Matter of fact, I had a roadkill here about a year ago. I tested the Nessie on just to see how it was skinned. I mean, just like a zipper. It's I would use the Nessie. Matter of fact, if I went in the woods, I would have an SK in the pack, Nessie on my belt, and a hatchet. That would be my setup. Yeah, Gert, it's not too heavy. I mean, a lot of times a survival knife is so heavy you don't want to carry it, and you leave it in the truck. That was one of the things I thought about when I developed the survival knife, the SK, survival knife, SK survival knife. But anyway, is I didn't want it too big and bulky and heavy because you're going to leave it in the truck. You're not going to have it with you when you need it. So the SK is small enough and light enough that you're going to have it on your belt. It's a decent weight for a belt knife. It comes in about 14 ounces. That's a good combo, Mike. It's all one grind, David. All the all of my bevels are 11 to 12. It may look strange, it may look different, but it's all the same grind. What is different is this primary grind here that you have nothing to do with. I do all that. Okay, but this actual sharpening edge is the same grind. So once you find that grind, it's the same angle all the way through. Okay? And I have lots of sharpening videos on that because it's an optical illusion is what it is. It looks like there's different angles and bevels on it, but it's not. Robbie, Dad's doing okay. I mean, he's almost 90. He does a garden and runs his lines. I mean, we live on the lake. They live next door. So he runs his lines at least once a day if the weather's permitting, and he piddles in his garden a little bit. But he has COPD real bad, so he doesn't do a lot of walking and stuff. So I I, I don't know if we're gonna ever get him to go camping again. The last couple of times I offered, he didn't. He just wasn't up to it. So that year that we did a lot, I kind of felt like that might be the last year that we was going to be able to do that. But anyway, for his age, he's and his health, he's doing really good. Fearless, I have not had anything bad or heard anything bad about the SK. Now, there may be some negative things out there because not everybody likes the same thing, but I have not heard anything bad about it. Most of the comments I get back, and you can read the feedback that I put on my website. It's they're just blown away by it. It is a different knife. Um, it's and I said it many times, and I'll say it again. It is the most versatile knife I have ever used. Yeah, he can do both, Terrence. Fish and ramble. He still does a lot of that rambling too. Fearless, if you want one, there's some that's going to be finished up for Greater Northern here in the next couple of weeks. That's going to them. I don't know if they already pre-sold or what, but he's got I think 5 of them coming. Need to get with Jeff. Yeah, Alan, that the WCNK is a great little knife. I mean, carving on a camp with it one time, I was very amazed at how well those angles and everything else, those curves, I mean, they can chew some wood. It really can. Yeah. You'd think somebody would hate it, but I haven't heard anything. And right now we're shipping out next week up to 320. So there's 300. There'll be 320 that's in the world, and I have not heard anything bad about them. Not one word. Um, and like I said, it is the most versatile knife I have ever used, hands down. I'm not just saying that because I designed it and made it. I'm saying that because I designed and made it to be that way. Fillet knife, yeah, I did a fin and fur not too long ago as a monthly special. That was a fillet knife. May do one again here at some time. I don't know. We'll see how things go. Hatchet brand. Council Twos has some good stuff. Um, I don't particularly care for the Scandinavian axes. I think they're a little soft for our woods. But Council Tools has a good axe. Most of the axes that I have are vintage. I have the old Collins at Hudson Bay. I use it quite a bit. And I've got one of the canoe axes. But yeah, Council Tools is probably what I highly recommend. I've got one of their canoe axes. It's been a pretty good axe. David handles. Unless you're talking about CPM, then it's a steel. Steels on the CPM steel is about 3 times higher than what most normal steels are because it comes from one factory. I think price whatever they want. The field sharpening, I got a video on that, but I'll show you right quick. If I let the blade go too far, the DMT blue is the way to go. That's my favorite, the DMT blue. I don't know what grit it is, so don't ask. I don't get into that stuff. All right. The main thing that I use for touching up a blade is the Victorinox Mini Steel. And you get them from Randy's website, stitchgear.com, or you can get them off of Amazon. I recommend Randy. All right. While you're there, look at his sheaths, all of his leather stuff. Awesome stuff. Victorinox. The only one I recommend is Victorinox Mini Sharpening Steel. And it is, if you can see that, it has grooves on it, so it puts little micro teeth on the edge. I don't like a smooth edge. I do not believe in stropping. Stropping creates a mirror polished edge, and I don't like mirror polished edges. They're too slick. I want something that's going to bite, that has teeth, okay? And that does a phenomenal job right there. So most of the time, that's what I use. Yeah, Mike, if that works for you, man, it's just a lot of times in the seasoned oaks and stuff like that, the Grancer's book will roll an edge. It's not as hard as some of the other axes, but it does great on the softer woods. Yeah, that's forging, Gert. I don't intend to ever get back into forging. I don't know. I didn't enjoy that too much. Ceramic rods work. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the ceramic rod. It's just that's so much smaller, easier, lighter. Puts a little bit better edge, I think. But ceramic rods, they do all right. Yes, Gert, seasoned ash can work on an edge. Seasoned elm can work on an edge. Edward, look at my batoning video, the last one. Uh, Batoning versus chopping, and then look at the batoning video that says good, bad, and ugly. That's what I think about you should do with my knives. As long as you're reasonable with it, as long as you're use common sense with it. Don't be out there trying to split this stuff. All right. There's no knife in the world is going to last long doing that. All right. Now, Becker and some of those other guys, they make knives that's not really a knife in my opinion, but hey, to each his own. But my knives have very fine edges. They have higher Rockwells. They're not designed to be beat on. They're designed to slice. They're designed to cut. They will hold up to some light batoning. Like if you watch Ray Mears when he's batoning a fire, this stuff. All right, that's reasonable. Okay. If you look at the knives that our forefathers used, they were very thin blades. A lot of people say, well, our forefathers baton. Yes, they did. Small stuff. Not what you see today. This is ridiculous. This is ludicrous. Take an axe with you if you're going to split that stuff. Okay? Scalpel is good. I mean, it's a full flat. Full flats, they work fine for carving. I'd just rather have the Nessie with a multi-grind. Yeah, it'll work. Yeah, be nice to the knives. If you be nice to the knives, they'd be nice to you. Um, I use Pike's Place Starbucks, the instants. I don't like instant coffee, but I like those. Favorite wood to carve? Usually green. if I can get it. Sycamore is good. That's about it. I mean, I carve out of just about everything. I've carved out of oak and everything else. A lot of yaupon. If it's green, then it's pretty easy to carve. It's when it's seasoned, it's is when you run into troubles. Yeah, I agree, John. I need to bring a little common sense back to this. I think we went too far into whatever you want to call that land out there. But you got to, it's to the point to where people think that if it doesn't baton through a 5-inch log, then it's not a good knife, and that's just not the case. Um, I don't want a knife to do that, to be honest, because in most cases, if it does that for a long period of time, it doesn't slice and cut very well. And that goes back to the edge apexes and everything else, and I have a complete video on all that. Because most of the knives today have a 22.5 degree bevel because of that, because of people going out there and beating on them, and that's just really not a very good knife to use in what I think a knife is supposed to be used for: slicing, cutting. Can't do feathers with them at all, or very thin feathers anyway. Because '01 steel holds a very good edge for a reasonable amount of time and it's easily sharpened. That's why I like '01. It holds a little bit sharper edge than 1095. 1095 is good steel. I just like '01 better. And with my heat treat, it's comparable to 3V. I've done videos on it comparing it, and people don't believe it, but hey, they don't. You don't trust the video or what? But yeah, it's great steel if it's done right. Try it, Gert. Sycamore is a good carving wood. It's white. It's just very good carving wood. Mike, I've used it twice, man. I used it on the when I brought it back from Savannah, the drifter trailer. I used it the one night there in Alabama, and I used it again on the frozen foot deal in February. That's the only time. The rest of the time it's been sitting in the yard. But those two times it worked great. I just wish I had a little bit more time to use it. I was hoping to use it at Blackie's thing, but Blackie's had to cancel because of this flu. And so, but anyway, maybe one day we'll get to use it a little bit. Yeah, that's a good thing to baton on is a hatchet. I mean, if you're going to split wood, then batoning a hatchet would certainly be a better choice. 52-100 is good steel. It's just not one of my favorites. Most of those steels, the 1000 series is mostly used in forges, and I just don't forge. So I use kilns and for controlling the temperature a little bit better. But 52-100 if it's done right. Any steel out there that's a knife steel, if it's done right, it's going to be a good steel. I mean, that's the key. If it's done properly, heat treated properly, then it's going to be a good steel. Yeah, fro is a good. That's what it was designed for. It was designed to split wood apart and make tools and wood crafts and shingles and things like that. That's what it's designed for. A fro is, and you can get froze a lot of places. Um, right now, the thinnest production knife I have is just under 1/8 inch. It's 0.118, which is just under 1/8 inch. I do have like the fin and fur that I do models of is almost a 1/16 of an inch thick, so it's about as thin as you can get without without being able to see through it. That's true, Mike. Now, most of the time I even use a hatchet to do feathers. I mean, I very seldom, back before I even made knives, I very seldom did feathers or firecraft with a knife at all. It was all a hatchet or a small axe. Um, I even set up camp with an axe. So a knife was there to process game. It was there to do kitchen chores. It was there to do little carving and stuff like that. It was not to do firewood. it, it was that's what the hatchet, the axe was for. But I mean, that was the way I was raised. That's what the elder said. That knife was precious. You protected that knife. Yeah, yeah, Mike, it does. I like the weight of a hatchet. The hatchet, actually, the weight. Tool. I did a video years ago about tool weight. It actually assists you. The weight does in making those feathers. I mean, you don't have to have as much arm strength with a hatchet because of the weight to do those feathers. Um, Cage, I've actually had conversations with Dave Beck. I highly respect Dave Beck. Matter of fact, Robbie, who's on here, sent me a design of a tracker knife he wanted me to do on one of his customs that he had ordered in 2018. And first I told him no, I wouldn't do it. And then I contacted Dave Beck, and he was kind enough to get back with me, and we had a very good conversation about it. And he is a great guy. I've talked to Dave Beck. I'm very good friends with Dan at Dogwood Knives, LT Wright. I've talked to him several times. As far as close friends, no, not really close, but acquaintances, yeah. There's a lot of well-known knife makers that I'm acquainted with that know me and I know them. Let's put it that way. Mike, I've tried the Hawk, Cold Steel Hawk. I don't know which one it is, but I had a Cold Steel Hawk. I've tried it, and it just didn't do it for me. It was too light. Of course, where I live, the woods is very dense. I mean, we have a lot of the swamp oaks and things like that. That is just once it dries out, it's hard. It's very hard. So I needed something with a little bit more weight. Scott Grossman is another one that's familiar with me, and that's through Mike Travis. Scott Grossman has actually used the SK through Mike. Mike's a big believer in the SK. He's the one that took one and just, I mean, he put it all over the magazine world. The American Survival Guide and all kinds of stuff has done articles on it. But Scott Grossman is actually friends with Mike, and Mike Travis is actually the son-in-law of Dave Beck. So that's how I met Dave Beck through the internet, was through Mike. Mike kind of put us together. But anyway, yeah, he has used my SK. Scott Grossman has, and reports I got was he liked it. So I haven't heard personally from him, but that's the reports that I got. Yep, it. You got to have a good steel to stand up to some of those oaks. I tell you. Cage, you may have. I don't know. Mike's from Pennsylvania, so he doesn't get down here in the South. I met him up in Pennsylvania. I've been talking to him for years, but we finally met at the Great Outdoor Show. We did February was a year ago, and so see you, Gert. Have a good evening. I'm gonna have to sign off too. I don't know. We've probably been on this thing for quite a while, over an hour. So Um, it might have been. It might have been at Scott's because I mean, like I say, they're very good friends, and Dwayne Unger and him is very good friends as well. I know Dave or Dwayne. I'm sorry, and another great guy. Um, David, not really. I was going to go to Blackie's thing. That was going to be done, but Blackie had to cancel because of this virus. So I'm really kind of up in the air. I don't think Blade is going to happen. If it does happen, I will have a table there. I don't know if I will be there or not, but there will be a table there that some Randy is going to have some knives there, and I think Blackie may be there, but I don't know that I'm going to be there. But I don't have anything really planned. If Blackie does his thing in the fall, yes, I will attend that. But other than that, I really don't have any plans. Take care, Mike. Thanks for joining us, brother. Appreciate it. You be safe. Have a good night. ID Fly. 2 hours. Wow. Time flies. I really love this, guys. It has been a lot of fun. And I'm going to have to do this again sometime. Pathfinder, yeah, Dave, he hit me up at Blade last year, said you got to be there. I told Dave that if he came closer that I would, and so he got it in Arkansas supposedly. So if he still has it, then I may attend that if things go well. So I may be at the Pathfinder. I don't think I'm going to set up a booth, but Randy will be there with some goods. So anyway, we'll see how things go. But yeah, Robert, thanks. I appreciate you joining. Yeah, I hope to meet you guys too. I hope to meet each and every one of you. All right, guys. Well, we're going to sign off here and call it a night, and we'll do this again. It's been a lot of fun. I enjoy this stuff. It's just trying to set time aside and get it all done. But yeah, again, thanks everyone. You guys are awesome. If it wasn't for you, then there would be any reason for WC Knives or even exist. So thank you for letting me live my dream. And we'll catch you guys again soon. Get in the backyard with a little stick. Be sure and take a child with you. And we'll catch you guys again soon. Bye bye.